Alright, our headstock is coming right along, and we just have one more little detail to deal with, which is the blend between the neck and the headstock. Now, as it turns out, we don't actually want something perfectly smooth on both sides. In fact, all we need is a smooth transition on the neck side. On the headstock side, it doesn't have to be smooth. It's going to look kind of like it's chopped out, which is actually kind of the look that we want anyway. So let's go to the right plane here and create another sketch. I'm going to zoom way on in here. I'm going to grab a spline, and I'm going to take a spline from the neck straight to the base of the headstock. All right, and then take that spline and control-click on this back edge of the neck and make those tangent. And then we can adjust our magnitude as we see fit. Let's just get something to where we like the way that that looks. Looks pretty good. Click OK. And I can actually hide this curve so it's out of my way too. That looks good. I'll hide this plane. We don't need that. All right. So now let's create our blend. Now the blend is going to be simpler than you think. All we got to do is run our boundary surface tool. And I'll start with this one. That's fine. That's a good curve. Now this one here, though, it's not going to let me click it. And that's because it's part of a sketch with multiple profiles contained within it. So what we have to do is right-click this and say Selection Manager. And then once again, with Select Group selected, then we will choose the curve that we want, and we'll get just that curve. Click OK. And now we'll get our loft surface between those two. Now we want to come straight out from the right plane, so let's choose Direction Vector for that first profile. And then make sure we're coming straight out from the right plane. And then under Direction 2, we're going to want to choose this edge, so we're matching up with that edge perfectly. And finally, let's make sure that we have Tangency to Face selected for that edge. Now down here in our properties, under Direction 2, Edge, we can see that it's tangent to that face. We can change our tangent influence. I'm going to crank that up to 100% so we are as smooth as we can possibly get coming out of this neck. Click OK, and as we rotate around, you're going to see that these reflections are pretty nice and continuous across. We're not talking about, automotive Class A surfacing here, but it's decent, right? It's nice and smooth anyway. And if we were to turn on our zebra stripes in the Evaluate tab, here we go, you would see that we have reasonably close to tangent continuity here. I mean, it's not bad, right? If you were going to be if you're doing automotive surfacing, it might be different. In this case, a little sandpaper is going to fix that anyway. So let's go to our surfaces. I'm going to extend surface, and I can extend the outermost edge of this surface straight on out. And when I do that, we come out. We're just going to come out until we fully intersect with that headstock, which might mean coming out a good distance. And we're using extension type same surface, if possible. Click OK, and that's going to bring that right on out. And that looks pretty darn good. I think I'm happy with that. But it actually, I don't know, it's a little bit shallow. So here's what's going to happen. We're going to take our trim tool. We're going to run our mutual mode trim. This is different from standard because we're going to choose both this and this as inputs. And then in the output, we can choose both this side and that side at once. And click OK, and we end up with the trimmed surface. Now, what I don't like about this is that this extended surface brings this triangle out way further than I think I want it to. So to control that, I have two things I can control. First, I can control this curve here. And by controlling this magnitude, I can increase the acceleration of this curve, which is going to bring that in quite a bit, and it did. All right, so I think I'm reasonably happy with that. I think we're gonna go with it. It's got a really progressive feel to it, and kind of the sharpness of that, and we can deal with that a little bit more when we're rounding off some of these corners later on. So that, my friends, is the complicated surfacing on this guitar. There's no other complicated surfacing. The rest of it should be pretty straightforward.